So, you're a man or a woman, you have kids of your own, you're in your mid 40s or 30s, and finally you're looking to get married and whatnot. It is not impossible, but this is more for ladies. I have spoken. I have a few athletes in the boxing program. They're women. Almost all the women that come through the boxing program have kids. They usually bring their kids to the boxing program, and they end up staying along and training and doing things like that. And some of these women, they don't have like college degrees and stuff. Most don't have degrees, but they have decent jobs. A couple work at dental offices as assistants and things like that. In the medical field, some are teachers. And I hold teachers at a pretty much high regard because, teachers are really the people that I feel that teach our youths how to grow up, both academically as well as in life. And I guess I'm doing a form of teaching, but I hold teachers at the highest standards, the highest regards. I revere teachers, in other words. So we have some teachers, we have some people who work in the medical field, dental field, and some who are just living off the system, Section 8 type things, food stamps, etc. All of them have kids. Actually, there are a few young women that come in, they don't have kids, but they're young women, like 21, 22, 23 years old. But some of them do. So if you have kids already, you've never been married, you have multiple children, either one guy or multiple different men, because there are more women in the world than men, naturally your value goes down. So you have to be able to be bringing more to the table or to a relationship with a man. You got to be bringing more than just your body and sex. Okay, because there's so many more women out there than men. It's not really difficult for men to find women for sex. Because there are many different types of women out there. Some are fast women, some are good time girls. There are a lot of promiscuous women out there. So you got to be bringing more to the table than just your body and sex. And I mentioned in the other videos some being aware of things, catching things before they occur and trying to address them to minimize the effects. Being aware surrounds nurturing. Submissive is a thing I have to talk about in another video because that seems to have some negative connotation with Western women when it's used. Even though there are a few women, a lot of women are submissive. They don't. But when the second they hear the word itself, it takes on a negative connotation. But in their nature, they are actually submissive to their husbands, and they're very happy in the relationship because submission doesn't necessarily mean being weak. It's actually strong. You have to be really strong to submit, and the benefits to that is outstanding. Even when a man makes a mistake after a woman submits, and she stays submissive and offers good counsel, because women for centuries have always been good counsel. Genghis Khan's mother was good counsel. That's why he held women in such high regard in his empire, as savage as he was. Women had some rights like no other. So women has always been real good counsel, but they were also submissive in the sense that they won't like rigid, they won't manly, they won't forceful. So you're getting up there in years, you have kids already. There, you can marry as well. You just have to find a guy with similar that has kids of his own, and you look. He's also looking to get married. He has his kids, you have your kids. You may not want any more kids. You might be too old to have more kids. He may not want to have more kids. So you have to find somebody that's compatible with you in that regard. But because women's value tend to diminish with age, especially from like around 30 to about and up, it's not really. You gotta be able to settle. You can't be looking for the man who's single. Well, they obviously have to be single, but you can't be looking for men that doesn't have kids of their own, or who's making over six figure income, or over 100,000 or more annual income. If you get one of those guys, great. But the likelihood of getting one of those guys to take on you and your kid, or children, is slim to none, because those men are sought after by everyone, every woman within the Western culture. And the people that get those guys have to be, the standards that those particular men look for in women. They have to be able to measure up to that. It's the same standards that men, like say myself, as I would consider myself average, even though my houses are paid for, my cars are paid for, I have no monthly bills. All right, and I don't make $100,000 a year. I just manage the money that I did well. Even I have some standards of what I would want. I don't have any biological kids, so I tend to stay away from women with kids. However, if that woman brings something to the table more than her face, her body and sex, yeah, I would consider her, because my stepfather married my mother, and I actually love my stepfather more than my own mother. Which is, that's just, so I understand that concept, but my mother was like 28, 29, somewhere around there when they met. 28 to 29. So in that regard, he was a single man. He didn't have kids of his own. He met my mother. My mother told him, that she had me. He was fine with that, because I wasn't living with her at the time. I was in the Caribbean. She was here in the United States. And they built a relationship. They got married. I came to live with them afterwards, and it was great. So, but my stepfather, it has never made. He was a very hard worker, very, very hard worker. But he never really made more than maybe $30,000-$40,000 a year, if that much. But my mom is very, very happy, and they've been married for over 30 years now. Very happy. Now he has some physical ailments that he can't really work as much, but he still tries. So my mom works and takes care of all the major expenses and whatnot. But when my mom wasn't working for decades at a time, he worked like a slave. So now it balances itself out. She's very happy to do this. When he gets off and jumps off deep end and stuff like that, her method of being submissive is just not say anything. She just let him go off. So you can get married even if you have kids, and have a very healthy life. You just can't set your standards so crazy high that you price yourself out of even finding a good man to have a long, happy, healthy relationship with, is what I'm saying. Most Western women fall in the category of pricing themselves out of the system because they are so, you guys are so spoiled. You think you should be, you have this mindset that, you know, that you deserve the best, even if you have not aspired to be the best that you can be, you still deserve the best. So you end up being alone, raising your kids alone. A few women are happy with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But those of you that want to get married, your standards can't be unrealistically high. You know, it just doesn't work. Even someone like myself, I consider myself slightly above average, but not in the high value man range, despite all the stuff that I own outright and the way I manage my income. Because I still have to manage my income in a way where I have to be careful. I can't like mess up and then recover real quickly, like somebody making 100,000 plus a year. So that's why I put myself in the average category. I use my mom as an example in that case, but I can also use, I have again, I have some younger athletes that I spoke in another video. They're like 21. They had kids by different people. They got together, they got married, they had a kid on their own. But he's not making a ton of money. He has the potential to. He's making maybe $15,000 a year. She's working at a dead-end job. You know, their standards wasn't crazy high. She's a pretty girl. You know, he's a handsome-looking young man with a really pleasant disposition. But, you know, if you women, I'm saying this because a lot of women want this wealth, the baller types, right? And most wealthy men that's not ballers or entertainers work 40, 50, 70, 80 hours a week to make that kind of money. So they have less time with you, and that goes into lifestyle now becomes a problem. So women, you're in your 30s, you have kids, you're getting up there. You gotta bring more to the table than just your body and sex. You find men that has common interests when it comes to relationships, not necessarily common interest in the things you all do. Because I find differences are great. I can do my own thing, you can do your own thing, and then we have a few things that we can do together. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have any questions, ask it in the comment section down below. You like and subscribe, and I'll do my best to answer when it comes to this relationship stuff. I have personally found foreign women, like from third world countries, not Europe, not some of the first world countries in Europe. I'm talking about third world countries, parts of Africa, India, those type of places, the Caribbean. The women don't have first world problems, and they don't have the fantasy of looking for an ideal man. You know, they just want someone that I've heard it. They just want someone to respect them. All right, they're living on survival, getting from day to day, food to eat, clothes to wear, place to live. You know, they're not even thinking about comfort. Their mindset is not even on appearance, like how good looking a guy is. They're interested in a guy being able to provide, but they're not thinking about the $1 million man or the $100,000 a year man. They're just thinking about a man that's stable. And I'll do a video on that. And this is from young women I'm not just talking about like older women. I'm talking about young women, 20, 21, 22, 23-year old, um, who from these third world countries, they don't have time or to dwell on frivolous things like like the $1 million man or all that stuff, or the fancy cars, or or any of that. Some of the unrealistic ideals that Western, especially American women are looking for. They don't really even care about the age gap so much. As long as they're attracted to you, and you're a good guy and you respect them, age don't matter to them. Appearance, like wearing these fancy clothes. This was cheap, you know. I think it's a Ralph Lauren, but it didn't cost me much. But fancy clothes, designer purses and none of that. They're not even thinking about none of that. That's beyond. That's a first world problem. They're just looking for someone to be with that will respect them and love them, not be in love with them, because love is a thing that you can grow, that grows. It's an emotional thing. It's not something that it can happen, but it's not something that just happens instantly. If it does happen for you instantly, it's great, but it's not the norm. Again, subscribe, like the video, or don't like the video. Ask questions in the comment section down below. Y'all have a good day.